In today's video, we are going to be looking at the coronavirus actually, and I wanted to just give some information on this. This is something that's obviously really big at the minute and affecting a lot of people, and I'm looking through kind of social media posts and things and just seeing what people are talking about, what people are doing. And it looks as though there's a lot of people trying to do things to respond to this and to keep up to date with it. It is very, very difficult. It's obviously a very difficult situation, and there's a lot of information and a lot of advice that's coming out all the time. And obviously we need to keep an eye on that and try to follow that as best as we can. But there's one general principle that seems to have been highlighted recently, which is about just anything that's being passed hand to hand. And there's advice about things like communion and taking up an offering and that kind of thing. But one thing that has struck me that there isn't much advice on at the minute is about what we can do as technical people, because there are some things that we use that are getting passed around hand to hand. The big one, of course, is going to be microphones. And whether you're using radio mics or whether you're using wired microphones, very often that's something that's going to be passed from one person to another, held, and even actually, obviously we have it quite close to our mouth, so it comes in contact with breath and saliva and all those kind of other things as well. And at the minute, that's something that is quite important and could have quite an impact on people's health. So I wanted to just make this video about just some things to think about, things that you might want to consider, and ways that we can keep those things clean and generally try and keep people safe and healthy. So I want to keep this video fairly quick and simple. It's just a very quick couple of tricks and tips just to look out for. So with your microphone, whatever microphone it is you've got, as I say, the same principles apply for radio mics as they would for a wired mic or any other type of microphone, whatever you've got that's going to be used, particularly if it's going to be one that people are going to be speaking right into very close. As I say, all sorts of germs can be passed when your mouth is this close to the microphone. But also, if it's something that you're holding in your hand and then passing from one person to another, passing around, again, this is all going to be hopefully helpful and applicable to whatever type of microphone you're using. So the first thing to know about microphones, there's the anatomy of a microphone, if you like. The top of a microphone, and this applies, as far as I'm aware, to pretty much every microphone, some of them, like this one was just then, can be a little bit tight, but the top of this microphone does unscrew. Now, you do need to be careful when you're doing this, because inside here, this part of the purpose of this grill on the top is actually to protect the delicate electronics that are inside here. But inside here you have the microphone capsule. This is the bit that actually does the business. This is where the movement of air as you're speaking into the microphone or whatever you're doing is translated into an electrical signal, which is then obviously put through into your system. So this is the very sensitive bit, and this is the bit you have to be super careful with. So just go, slow and steady is the key here with this. This bit we're not going to worry too much about. We're not going to try and clean this or anything like that. It's too delicate for anything like that. I would just stay clear of that bit. But what we can do is we can clean this part. This is just a grill. Now, different microphones, they'll be made in slightly different ways. There's normally 2 layers of metal grill mesh. So there's normally a coarse layer with kind of bigger gaps and then a fine layer with smaller gaps. And then often as well, inside, there'll be a sort of spongy foam thing inside there. And all of this is safe to clean. We can literally dunk this in a bowl of water. And one way to clean this is literally put it in a bowl of soapy water and you can give it a good old wash. Now, do need to be careful with the sponge bit inside. Again, that's quite delicate and you can damage the sponge, but perfectly safe. And I've done this with my microphones before. Chuck that in a bowl of water, just get a washing up bowl, hot soapy water, chuck that in. And certainly if you get things like lipstick and things like that and any other kind of muck that can come on the front of these, good way to get that off is to do that. However, when we're talking about germs and bacteria and that kind of thing, another thing that you might want to consider is not just soap and water, but actually you can get some kind of an antibacterial type spray. Now, this is just a general kind of antibacterial type spray. You might want to get some sort of advice as to exactly what to use. I don't know what the best thing is in terms of what's actually going to kill this virus off. I'm no medical expert. Personally, I wouldn't go too strong with the chemicals. I wouldn't sort of just dunk it in neat bleach or anything like that, because you could start affecting the paintwork and there could be other things there that would start getting damaged. So I'd go with something relatively mild. But what I do is I just have this antibacterial spray, and I will often just spray the outside of these grills, maybe give that a few minutes to soak, just look at the instructions on the bottle that says how long it needs to actually take effect. Give it a few minutes, let that do its business. Once that's done what it needs to do, then dunk it in the bowl of hot soapy water and give it a good wash that way. But most importantly of all, whatever you do, make sure this is properly dried out before you try and put it back on the microphone. It's probably not enough just to dry it down with a hand towel or even kitchen roll or anything like that. I would do that, bit of kitchen roll, give it a good dry, but then I'd probably stand it on top of a radiator or something for like 24 hours and just make sure it is properly dry, because you don't want any moisture to come back in contact with your microphone. So just really make sure that you've taken the time to dry this out properly before you try and put it back on again. Now that, as I say, that's probably the kind of the biggest thing, because that is the bit that's going to be coming in contact with people's mouths, breath, saliva, all that kind of nice fun stuff. And actually that's, it's not a bad principle to do that from time to time anyway, because of all that general stuff that's going onto those microphones. And particularly if you have microphones that are used by several different people in your church, it's not a bad idea to just clean them from time to time anyway. So it's not a bad habit to just start developing that. But that really only deals with the grill. Of course, we also have the bit that you're actually holding with your hands, and that's the other thing at the minute, that they're saying anything that's being passed hand to hand is something that is worth cleaning. Just assemble this back together again. Also, another little thing, when you're putting these back together, just make sure you don't cross the thread over. Just go real careful, make sure you get the thread on properly before you start screwing it down, and we're safe. So the bit that you hold in your hands. Now, obviously this bit we can't go dunking in a bowl of water. We can't go spraying it with any kind of spray. Really, there's a fairly kind of limited number of ways that we can clean this. Now, one way would be to do some kind of a wipe. So you can get like alcohol wipes that you could use. You could wipe this down with an alcohol wipe, or you can get sort of disinfectant surface wipes that you could use. Just give it a wipe down with something like that. Beyond that, it's going to be fairly tricky to do a lot else, because we're talking about electronic equipment in here, because there's the delicate nature of what this is. There's a limited number of ways in which we can clean this, but something like an alcohol wipe, as long as you're careful with a surface wipe, something like that, that would do the job and that would be okay. I would probably look at doing one of those two things myself. And while you're at it, you could also do things like music stands, mic stands, cables. Again, anywhere where people are going to be singing and speaking, there's always the chance of saliva and all that sort of stuff going onto music stands and whatever else might be in the front. So if you're there with your wipes anyway, wipe the cable, wipe the stand, wipe your music stands, just give it a quick once over. It's not going to take that long if you've got your wipes out and you're cleaning the microphones anyway. I would say that's going to be your main thing that you're going to be passing around. That's going to be the thing that's going to come in contact with most germs and bacteria, are going to be the microphones. In your situation, if you know that there's something else that you pass around, then maybe look at wiping that as well and cleaning that if you can. The only other thing that you might want to consider is the mixing desk, because again, obviously there's lots of hands on that and people touching that and leaning on it and all that sort of stuff. And I would probably look at like an alcohol wipe or something on there to do that. Again, just be super careful, because it's electronic equipment. Avoid as much moisture going anywhere near that as you possibly can. Just avoid anything that looks like it could be risky if you start wiping it with something that's wet. Just use your common sense. Beyond that, I don't really think there's a great deal else that we can do. I think that's about as much as we can do to keep things safe and healthy. If there's anything else that you do or anything else that you can think of that might be worth letting people know about, then please get in touch, let me know, and I can sort of pass that out on social media and things. I think it's great at times like this to make sure we keep in contact and keep in communication. So if you have messages and information that you can pass over to me, then I'm happy to kind of put that out on the channels as well. Just let people know about things. I think communication is really important and really helpful at this time. So it would be great to know what you're doing and how you're responding to this situation. It would be good to be able to have some more information if you have it, and please do let me know that. As always, I hope this video has been helpful, and hopefully there's something here that you can take and you can use. Please hit all the buttons, like, subscribe, bell, all that kind of stuff, share it, let people know. Although I make these videos because I like doing them, it's not the only reason I do it. I do it because I want it to be of help and of benefit to people. So it'd be great if you can share this video with other people. If there's people that you know of who perhaps aren't seeing these videos, then please share it with them, let them know, because I want this channel to be helpful and useful to people, and so I want them to know about it and to hear this information. And if it's something that you're finding helpful, then hopefully it's something that other people will find helpful too. So please do share this if you can, and let other people know about this as well. That would be great. So stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.